Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Lindsay. I am a personal tutor as well as a class instructor with RD Bootcamp. And today I'm going to show you a little bit of a sneak peek into one of our classes so that you can get an idea of my teaching style and the way we do things. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website, rdbootcamp.com, or email me, lindsay@rdbootcamp.com, and we'll chat. So today we're going over the microorganisms class, just a little snippet from there. So the way I teach is based off of this idea that the human mind does much better with visual memory and spatial memory than just looking at the words on a page. So many of us can struggle when we just have a chart in front of us to memorize all the data points. And when it comes to the microorganisms, there's a lot of information to remember. There's the names, the symptoms, the foods that it is associated with. So it is quite a lot to kind of memorize in a rote fashion. Some people use flashcards and that works for them, but other people, we need to go more with the memory route. So for example, having these kind of unique, extraordinary or strange or just bizarre images associated with a story and the information we're trying to remember can make it much easier for it to be encoded in your brain and for you to use that recall during the exam. So I'll go over some of the things that we would use in these memory associations. So for each microorganism, we have a story. There's different ways to remember it, and I highly recommend you find what works best for you. I came up with these memorization techniques, and maybe they'll help you, and maybe you come up with your own story. So here we have Clostridium botulinum, aka botulism, and this is a pretty well-known one. We have our symptoms, we have our onset time, and our foods. How can we remember this? Well, my story, and I like to very clearly visualize what the story is so that it is deeply embedded in my mind. I have this woman in my mind who is having a surgery, and this surgery actually gets botched, which is why it's botulism. And I picture her getting this honey face mask after her botched surgery. And that's how we can remember that honey is related to botulism. The other thing that I might include here is like a robot, if that is more familiar to your mind or would stick in more. Or I even picture this robot giving her the surgery, right? So that incorporates that as part of the story. And maybe the robot is like outside made out of aluminum foil, and inside secretly he has a baked potato for a heart. Like however you can incorporate this, you're like, okay, I remember baked potato in a robot. Like however we can encode that and make that story something that is deep in your mind, it'll be easier for it to integrate and for you to recall it. So we have onset 18 to 36 hours. How can we incorporate that? That's going to be up to you. Maybe you think this woman and you incorporate into your story that she's had 18 to 36 surgeries over the years. Or maybe that's how many face masks she's doing or how long the surgery took. But if you can incorporate that within the story of this woman getting a botched surgery, it can really be helpful to keep all the information in one place in your mind. So here's one example of one of the slides. We'll do one more. And this would be an example of Giardia. This is another microorganism, and this is a parasite. So basically here I'm picturing Giardia, whose name is kind of similar to this. If you don't know her, then you can just picture another female cook or chef here. And I make a story here about Giardia using this contaminated water or ice. I picture her very clearly on her show, and she's cooking with this like clearly dirty water that looks pretty disgusting. And you're like, why would she be showing this on TV? And she has some contaminated uncooked foods, and she's showing off these gross foods on camera like nothing is wrong. And then I picture her cooking them up and having people taste it. And then I picture her very vividly getting diarrhea and greasy stools. And maybe she's doing 1 to 3 episodes on TV of these horrible foods. And you're like, this won't stop. Why are there 3 episodes on this? So basically that's the way that I do it. I come up with a very strong visual and story, and I picture that in my mind, and I'm able to recall it at another time because we have this association that comes with other things linked to it, other information linked to it. So basically in our class, we'll go over all sorts of recommendations like this, tools to remember things for the exam, mnemonics, memory devices, things like that to make it as easy for you as possible to retain and use this information, as well as understand why it's important. We go over what those are and why do you need to know these, and the situational questions. At the end of the class, we do have practice questions to go over. They're all very interactive classes. We're happy to answer any questions that you have and go through all this information. It's a very intensive class. All right, so I'd love for you to join us. You can check out this website, like I said, or email me, and I hope to see you at one of our future classes. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you soon.